Hello and welcome to the TMC Newsroom. My name is Rich Tehrani. Thanks for watching us today. We're at Interrupt New York 2011 at the Jacob Javits Center. On our program is Nancy Rich, the VP of Telcombrokers. Welcome back, Nancy. This is like your third, fourth, fifth time, something like that on our show.
Yes, thank you for having me.
What would this show be without you? So we're thrilled to have you here.
Well, we hope that we do add some fun at least to the show.
Absolutely. Excitement and, more importantly, insightful information.
Yes, thank
for the
you.
viewers out there that really need that insightful information.
Appreciate that.
So tell us a little bit about your company, just for those people who may not have seen any of the TMC videos in the past.
Okay, thanks. Telcombrokers is an agency of telecom professionals, and we've actually been in business going all the way back to 1998. So we've seen so many changes in the telecom industry, but our primary role is to act as a trusted advisor to our clients. And we serve companies across the spectrum, anywhere from a small business all the way up to the large enterprise, and even carrier-to-carrier sales on the wholesale side. And what we do for those folks is essentially we represent about 40 different telecom companies as their sales and distribution channel. So we have the ability to bring to our clients just the broad spectrum of all the different carrier providers and every single product that they represent. So anything from a integrated T1 voice and data circuit to a big pipe Ethernet connection to an MPLS network to cloud services today. And we're able to advise them on how they can get the best price and also who's doing a good job in this very dynamic market.
Now, your company's also been referred to as an outsourced agent, and I'm wondering, could you define that?
Absolutely, yes. Outsourcing is becoming more and more popular. In fact, we talked about it here last year in New York. It was beginning to really catch on with a lot of the CIOs in the industry. And I think people are recognizing out there that they really need to bring in some additional resources to help them migrate through not only the dynamics that are happening from a technology standpoint, but also how that affects their business and how they can be more profitable. And so in that outsourced agent role, we have the ability to sort through some of the, if you will, the promotional noise or the buzz to really drill down to help these people look and see how can they improve their bottom line, their efficiency, and take advantage of the technology to lower cost, because cost is still a very big driver in this market.
So do you have any news that you want to share with us?
Well, I am excited because being here in New York is always fun, but we've recently added a sales office in the Philadelphia area, so we're now very actively pursuing new business right here in the city, in this whole market on the east, and the Philadelphia, Boston, this whole area. So
Philadelphia is a city of brotherly love. Is that accurate? Is that what that is? I'm going to have the producer check on that to see if that's accurate. My apologies if that's wrong.
Hopefully
but I think
sisterly love too.
Yeah. They need to expand that, make that non-sexist, I think.
You bet.
So, but I'm sorry, I interrupted you there. So that really gives you a stronger East Coast presence,
yes.
Right?
Because we've always been very strong in the West and in the Southeast, of course, but we're really, as our carriers are continuing to merge, there's been a lot of activity in the carrier space with acquisitions, and some of the big ones just recently would be Windstream's acquisition of Paytech, for example, and Earthlink going out there and acquiring OneCom and Deltacom. So we're seeing just some very large new powerhouse players that are emerging and covering this East Coast market like never before. So we want to be there.
In terms of trends, you're in a good position to tell us about trends beyond the M&A, which I don't think the M&A is actually, it seems to go up and down in terms of how many M&As we'll see in 1 year, but that's been a long-term trend. Is there anything else?
The other thing that we see relative to what our clients are doing is that they're now really taking a harder look at how they can reduce costs, not just by going out to bid, which is still a very viable function that we help them do, but also how they can take advantage of some of the technologies like cloud, for example. So what applications or what functions can they now take and outsource to a cloud provider to free up their IT staff to focus more on their core business and what they can be doing to implement changes that help their business directly, as opposed to doing desktop services, that type of thing. Or the other trend we're seeing is, as all the devices are incorporated into the IT infrastructure, things like the iPad and the iPhones and all the remote devices that people are using, the IT manager is really looking for ways to manage those components and still be a yes to their users within the organization, because that's really important today for them to be successful.
Now, you have an initiative, Women in the Channel, I think, that I wanted to hear more about as well.
Thanks for asking about that. Very excited about the Women in the Channel organization. It's a grassroots group that I founded along with a few other women leaders earlier this year, and we had our inaugural meeting in Las Vegas back in March and attracted over 100 women. The focus of Women in the Channel is really to look at the fact that, number one, there aren't very many of us in the channel and in IT in general. There's a declining amount of women who are choosing IT as a career for some reason, even though there are so many opportunities in IT today. And so what we're looking to do is for those women who are a part of it now to find ways that we can collaborate together to grow our businesses, to add value for our own companies as well as to our clients, and then also to put a little focus on just how we can support each other as women in the business, quite simply.
Sure.
We recently had a conference call that was very well attended, and the topic was 10 steps to more sustainable energy in your workday. So, we're looking at things that are very personal, but also on the business level. And the last bit that I think is really important is mentoring. So we're out there seeking opportunities to mentor younger women and to attract them into the business, because more and more requirements are being made for IT professionals out there, so why not have women be a part of it?
Sure. Well, I remember back in engineering school, in a physics class of 150, we'd have 2 women.
Right.
And that was, as the classes became more computer science oriented, that ratio increased a little bit. There are a few more women, but I mean, it was a pretty low ratio. I mean, it was extremely low.
It's still low, and it's a global issue. In fact, the United Nations had a conference that they sponsored in March in Geneva, and they brought women IT leaders from all over the world together to really address the problem, because it's now being perceived as a problem.
Well, I've been saying for a while that I think that there's been this kind of, I don't know if demonization is the right word, but this kind of feeling that tech is nerdy, and if you do anything in tech, you're a nerd. And what I'm really frustrated with is that we have a global society that's absolutely enthralled with the latest gadgets and technology, and yet the same career path that would lead you to design that product that you love to use is shunned by the people buying the products. It doesn't seem to make sense, because they should be more excited about learning about science and technology. And what's ended up happening in the last 30 years is that we've had this culture that was at one point really excited about things like NASA, science and technology, going to the moon, and now we're more celebrity in focus and obsessed, and so now we want to know what the celebrities are doing, and we're not as focused on things like the space, the moon, exploration, and it seems like society in general has moved away, at least in the U.S., from science and technology. And that's one of the reasons why we're losing a competitive edge to other countries.
Yeah, and that's also why I think, as an industry, we have a responsibility, those of us who participate in it, to try to bring some of that attention back to it. And I will tell you that there are companies that are taking steps in that direction. Google, for example, just started a group called IT Girls. And once a year now, they're bringing together young girls and mentoring young girls up in the Silicon Valley to try to bring them into the fold and get them to see that, even though I think IT has been perceived in the past as being kind of nerdy, it really isn't, because there are so many applications that we can use it for that not only generate, revenues and new initiatives for our country as a whole, but also can be really quite fun and innovative. Even at the keynotes yesterday, the Cisco speaker was talking about a bite guard application that they've come out with that measures head trauma in a cloud application.
Wow.
I mean, these are the types of things that can be done with technology if we focus on it. So, that's really part of what the Women in the Channel is about, is to let women know that you're not just locked up in a computer room all day. If you're interested in IT, there's lots of ways that we can apply science and technology to make our lives better.
And it's also, tech has proven to be an extremely lucrative career path over the
Absolutely.
last couple decades. And, salaries have increased over time, and it's been very stable. I mean, I just don't see, again, when we have such a high jobless rate, almost the highest it's ever been, why do we not want more people, or why do people not look for the career paths that are
Right.
stable, secure, and growing in pay, right?
And I think part of it is we need to have a more inclusive attitude about it. And that's a little bit of what, we try to pursue, not only through Women in the Channel, but at Telcombrokers, because another big part of our business is we work with young companies on the consulting side. Also now, another change in a trend we've seen is that the value-added reseller and the equipment salesperson or designer is now having to bring the network piece into the equation to maintain the relationship that they have with their customer. And so we're bringing those folks into the fold on the agent side of the business and helping teach them how to apply the network as a value add and how to really deliver a total solution. And remember, we do all that consulting service at no cost. That's one of the really beautiful parts of it, because our compensation comes from the carriers.
Right.
If we're delivering a good solution and bringing them a customer who has explored fully all their options and has chosen that carrier, then they're going to be loyal and they're going to stay.
So what's next for Telcombrokers?
Well, the next thing that we're looking to do is really just put a big focus on what I was just talking about, and that is expanding the cloud service solutions that we're offering to customers, because that outsourcing concept works so perfectly with what we do in the first place. We've brought on a number of carriers who are specific to cloud, companies like RapidScale and Hosting.com, and we're adding those to our existing portfolio of carriers who are expanding their cloud solutions as well. So we're looking to make sure that as we're talking to clients, that we're showing them that they have choices today that they never had before that can really help their business, and hopefully growing our channel by adding these other folks who come from different sides of the equation to really deliver a total solution.
Great. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Good to see you again.
Thanks, Rich.